It was interesting.
So what was that like? You know, I mean, we always hear about guys on leave. You know, was that kind of fun to be able to set foot on land in some of these places?
It really was. When I first went to Japan, the first place I wanted to go was where my dad was held prisoner of war. Mm-hmm. So I got to go. There's nothing there of the prison camp anymore. Right. And I got to go there, and I got to meet a lot of Japanese people, and I liked them. They were really nice. They treated us very friendly. And so I got the habit there early in my career of when I went to a country I'd never been before, I'd try to travel around the country. So in Japan, we would rent bicycles and then ride up in the countryside.
Good.
And the people treated us really nice. We got to ride up to Kamakura, where the Great Buddha is, and see that. And there's a German restaurant on the shore of Kamakura Lake. And when we came out of the restaurant, there was 2 or 3 guys beating up on this one guy, so we jumped him to help him. And it was a movie. So they were a little upset.
Cut!
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You know, because there's the old join the Navy and see the world. There was all these old slogans, but there was something that it kind of opened your perspective in terms of looking at the world outside of Hesperia and here in Muskegon. And how has that affected you now? Have you become somewhat of a history buff, or do you like to travel?
I like to go to these places and see them. I want to go back to some of the places I want to go back to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I ever will, but I'd like to.
Well, and there have been people who have gone back, and there are some tours, and I think it's important to kind of reconnect, you know, because sometimes these experiences are happening at a time in our life where we're still finding ourselves.
Right.
But as you get older, you have a different perspective on what does it all mean.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of when we were kids, and you would tell the other kid if he did something make you mad, well, my dad will beat up your dad. And that's what's happening with governments in the world, is they're beating up on each other, but they're sending their own people out to do it.
Yeah, and we don't want to put anyone in harm's way without really good cause. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about a little more in an up-to-date sense, the ways in which you participated here with the Post at 446, and some of the issues you think are important that we shouldn't overlook in terms of the services for veterans?
Well, I think it's important that we get all the services we can. They're sending these people into war, and they're coming home missing arms and legs and mental problems, and they need help. And I think our government is responsible to give them that help. And yet, they're cutting our service officers, they are so important to the families of these veterans, because that's who they have to go through to get help.
So is that any of that maybe a result of the down economy where there's been budget cutbacks, or do you think that the governor and some of the officials really understand how important these services are?
I don't think they do, because they've cut other services like 3 and 4%, while they cut the veterans by 25%.
Do you think that they think there's something else that's going to backfill it on the federal side?
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I think we've lost. The family of veterans in Muskegon have to go clear to Detroit to get this help.
Well, that's really a big deal, and so, you know, I would welcome you, as well as, you know, people watching this show, to think about contacting the governor's office and your state officials and telling them that you want to keep these programs fully funded. If there's any kind of direct appeal you want to mention about ways that they should focus on this issue?
The bill to do this is called House Bill 520, I believe it is. And they need to write their state representatives to vote against this bill, and don't let them pass it and take away all these people.
So that means Doug Bennett, Mary Valentine, Mr. Van Werkum, Jerry Van Werkum, you know, you are our representatives. You cast an important vote. We want you to pay attention that these are services that do work and have a pronounced effect on helping our veterans and their families. You know, we were talking off camera before, but let's talk a little bit about even how adjusting back from the war, or even adjusting back from being in military service to civilian life is.
When I came home from Vietnam, I was basically almost an alcoholic. because if I got drunk enough, I didn't have the dreams. And I finally realized that the only way to get rid of this is go through counseling. And the VA is what got me out of it. And so, and you can't talk to your family because they've never been there. They don't know what it's like, and they don't really believe the stuff you tell them. But so when I joined, I belonged to the American Legion before I came back, got out. But we had no post here at that time.
Oh.
So I went to the VFW, and just talking with other veterans helped a lot because they understood, you know, what you're saying.
But even along those lines, you know, when you talk about, you know, the alcohol, or for some people maybe even the drugs, help them forget about the dreams or the pain or the things that they're going through. Isn't there also the process about making sure you don't reinforce the alcohol into alcoholism? Because, you know, there's a certain camaraderie in drinking, but being able to pull somebody through and say, hey, you know, Don, I need you here. I don't want to lose you to that too.
Right.
So has the VA been, I mean, the VFW been important to kind of help people be kind of open about making sure we stay healthy?
It gives you somebody to talk to that's had the same experiences, you know, and that helps a lot. That's probably the biggest thing that helped me. So,
well, God bless Ginny and all those folks over at 446 and the other VFWs, and you know, the posts that we have here, because it is important that when we ask people to not only risk their lives but to serve their country, that their life when they come home means a lot too. You know, it means a lot to their family, it means a lot to their community. I mean, I want to have a whole person, whether it's my brother or my father, you know, to feel that they're welcome, that they belong here, that they're not, because that seems to be one of the biggest challenges that I've learned talking to veterans of different ages, is that sense of being alone, whether you can kind of get through what you witnessed in a personal way, even though you had the camaraderie.
Right.
It's you want to come back to being adjusted, that people know that you're all there.
Yeah.